Obviously, here we got the main attraction. You walk up on the Acropolis. We've gone through the Propylaeon, but that's like where the bottleneck for the visitors is. So we didn't want to stop and talk there because plenty of other people are stopping and doing selfies and holding up the traffic. But we're better than that. But here we are. We've come out onto a sandy place where it's not quite so slippery. Nobody's around, which is awesome. And we've got the Parthenon. And so this was the big temple to Athena Parthenos, the Virgin Athena, that the Athenians built under the urging of Pericles in the 5th century. That's the middle of the 400s. And they've had to build it because when the Persians invaded at the beginning of the 5th century, they completely sacked and burned everything that was up here, including the old Parthenon. There was a Parthenon before this Parthenon. And so at the time, I'm sure it seemed like a big tragedy, but as it happened, probably worked out pretty well because this has been a big tourist draw for Greece ever since then. It was a naos. It's an outside building. You didn't really go in it and go to church or anything. It's not like Westminster Abbey. It was just a building that you stood in front of like we're doing and like had sacrifices and felt proud to be Athenian and happy for Athena's protection. Though it was where the treasury of Athens was kept inside this. So it was also like a bank vault, right? The nice thing about being up on the Acropolis is that there are so many YouTube videos that I don't feel any obligation to say everything. Just to say some things that occurred to me. One thing that occurs to me is that after about 1,000 years of being a pagan temple to Athena, Christianity took over this part of the world, and this was turned into a Christian church. It stayed the church of the Virgin Goddess like it had always been. Instead of Athena Parthenos, it was Parthenos Maria, the church of the Virgin Mary. And you talk about like the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages and then the Renaissance. And one thing that really brings that whole idea home, the fact that people really did forget about this ancient stuff, is that for about 800 years, no writer refers to this as a temple of Athena. It wasn't until Cyrenaica of Ancona in the early 1400s referred to this temple not as the Church of Virgin Mary in Athens, but as the temple to the goddess Athena. And then ever after, it got kind of rediscovered as this thing, as a Christian thing. That was in the 1400s. Obviously, 1453, the Ottoman Empire took over this whole part of the world, and this building stopped being a Christian church and became a mosque. You can see old pictures that had a minaret. There was a dome in it. And then, obviously, you can look up the story. There are really good things on YouTube about it. It was 1687. This was being in a battle, in a war between the Turks and the Venetians over whatever. This was being used as a munition dump, and a Venetian artilleryman landed a mortar shot in the middle and blew the whole thing up. And Amy and I were talking about this as we were walking up here, and that must have been a heck of an explosion. Like these giant pieces of marble just flying everywhere. Anytime a munition dump goes up, if you're in the neighborhood, you're likely to be killed just from the pressure wave. Never mind giant pieces of Greek temple flying through the air. So the Parthenon, they're fixing it up. You can tell.